I think alignment and vision are really important. Obviously, leadership is a hot topic and making sure that the leaders in the organization are embodying the values. But I do believe it all starts with the vision and having a values alignment to ensure that the organization understands where it's going, right? So all the team members and employees understand where it's going and what unites us as an organization. What are the values? We use our core values in all of the hiring processes and in terminations, in client outreach, in vendors and partner selections, because we want to make sure that we all have that united front and alignment on the things that we believe are essential.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today, we're going to talk about keeping alignment with mission, vision, and values, and what that really means inside your organization and why it's important. Today, our special guest is Anna Crowe with Crowe PR, and she is a master of really looking things from a different perspective of using frameworks are available in the marketplace. And there's different books and she's used, coaching programs, and she's invested in herself to really use these things to help grow her business. Now, we unpack them inside the episode today where we talk about keeping alignment with your vision first. And then we talk about keeping alignment with your values, and then keeping alignment with your mission we mixed in there. And then we also talk about keeping alignment with your goals. So all of those things inside today's episode. One of the things I like most is she shares how she specifically uses values inside the organization. A lot of this is not new, but it may be new to you. So I appreciate you leaning in, getting as much as you can from Anna. And that's why we do what we do. My job is to be an executive coach, help you see what you can't see for yourself, help you continue to grow your business. And if you feel like there's some insight that you would love to have, some clarity, or maybe there's even a blind spot, you don't know what that blind spot is because otherwise it wouldn't be a blind spot. But you know that there's something that you could do to activate more growth in your company. Maybe it's a more alignment. Maybe there's something across the leadership outside of your office and it's across the company. Either way, I've got you covered. As an executive coach, we work with top leaders of the company, but we also work with the middle managers and the directors of the company to help them create the leadership skills that they need and the confidence to deliver those things. And we break it down very systematically with frameworks. I hope you would find that very enjoyable. If you were able to have a conversation with me about what's going on in your company, get to know each other, it's absolutely free. If you are interested in that, just go to genehammett.com and schedule your call. Now, here's the interview with Anna. Anna, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you today?
Fantastic. We're going to talk about keeping alignment with your mission, vision, and values. Before we do that, I'd love for you to tell us about Crowe PR.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me, first of all. Second of all, Crowe PR is an integrated public relations and digital marketing agency. We are a national firm, and we represent a handful of clients in healthcare technology, consumer goods, and travel and tourism. And so that's anything from media relations and earned media to thought leadership, influencer marketing, social media, and content creation, really helping brands get amplified, grow revenue, grow their awareness, and really build companies.
Well, there's a lot of people listening in here that are probably thinking, okay, I'd love to be seen as a thought leader in my industry. You probably have more conversations about this than anyone I know. What is the one thing you wish CEOs understood about thought leadership that they just don't seem to get?
Well, in my experience, I think thought leadership is pretty straightforward, right? It's being recognized as a leader. So conceptually, it makes sense. And I think a lot of CEOs believe that, hey, if I just post on social media here and there, or if I'm quoted in an article, or maybe if I do one speaking engagement, I am now a thought leader. But as you can imagine, there are a lot of different experts in the world, a lot of companies, a lot of CEOs, COOs, and other executives. And it's very noisy and very loud out there. And so to be a thought leader, it's really takes effort and an integrated strategic program. So it's really helpful when you have someone like ourselves or any other, whether it's a publicist, an employee, whoever, supporting that program to help build a strategy. What are your pillars? What do you really stand for? And then ways to get the message out there on a continuous basis in a clear way, and also make sure it's compelling and it's your unique point of view, not just a combination of things that other people may be saying.
Well, I appreciate the quick excerpt there. We don't do much conversations about the services like PR and marketing, but I just wanted to get an insight from you for the audience. You guys made the Inc. list recently, and our team has done research on the company and just making sure that you are the kind of leader that we want to have on the show. What do you think are the most important elements to creating the kind of growth in the company that you have today?
Well, I think alignment and vision are really important. Obviously, leadership is a hot topic and making sure that the leaders in the organization are embodying the values. But I do believe it all starts with the vision and having a values alignment to ensure that the organization understands where it's going, right? So all the team members and employees understand where it's going and what unites us as an organization. What are the values? We use our core values in all of the hiring processes and in terminations, in client outreach, in vendors and partner selections, because we want to make sure that we all have that united front and alignment on the things that we believe are essential. So for instance, if entrepreneurial spirit is one of our values, which it is, we want to make sure that we're hiring people and bringing on companies that are nimble and ready to grow and can change course and are dedicated to professional and personal development and are hungry for that versus someone who may not see the value in bettering themselves or doing something better today than they did yesterday or competing with themselves, right? In that 1% growth kind of curve. So I think that alignment and vision are really critical in making sure that no matter what happens in the external environment, whether it's the economy, the world, or the marketing environment, or the changes that happen in marketing in general, we can work together and shift gears where needed to keep growing and scaling.
Let's unpack vision first, because I really do believe that it does start there. When you think about vision, is this something that you have as like a vision statement? Do you have a vision document? Is it actually written? Give us a little view of how you use vision for your company.
Yeah, we have a couple of tools for a technical standpoint, right? So we've had our why. So when I started the company about 8 years ago, we followed the Simon Sinek start with why. And so every quarter at our retreats or board meetings or State of the Unions, or even when we onboard new employees, we go back to our why. Why do we exist? And then we go through the how and the what that we do as an agency. And then we've evolved that over the years, and we did what's called the vivid vision, right? So over the last couple of years, we really painted, and I took the lead, and I had my leadership team contribute, and then my employees also contribute to that process of building out what do the next 3 years look like, what do the next 5 years look like, what type of companies do we want to work with, what type of team do we want to build, what is our service area going to look like, and then down to the financials, where do we want the revenue to be, profitability, etc. So, but really painting this one page or a vivid vision as if those things have happened, and then to be even more practical, we also have implemented EOS, the entrepreneur operating system, that has what's called a VTO, right? So the Vision Traction Organizer, where we build that vision. And it also boils down to 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, and then quarterly goals. And then those quarterly goals that we're calling rocks, and they get disseminated into the company, and everybody's accountable for a part of it to make sure we bring that vision to life. But it is something that we definitely talk about. And on the high level, I can't wait to work with this client. We empower our employees to look at that vision and also bring to the surface the type of companies or the type of people they want to work with, so that we all get to be part of that vision.
I want to ask you, and this may be a dead end question, but of all the work that you've done with Start With Why, the Vivid Vision, the EOS, very familiar with all of these tools. A lot of the clients in the Inc. 5000 actually use them. Was there anything that you do that is unique, that you took it to the next level? I don't know if it's creativity or you decided that it really worked for you. Is there anything in that area you could share with us?
Well, from a vivid vision standpoint, we went a little woo-woo to come up with that. I will tell you, we did some breath work and things to really come up with it. So I think I'll start with a little woo-woo there. But then just to bring it back down to the more practical, I think we have our team contribute to a more creative exercise when people are putting logos on a piece of paper, kind of in a PowerPoint presentation, really how you would do your personal vision. So getting the team engaged and involved out. So it doesn't just stem from the top. I think that might be a little bit different, because it's one thing when the founder owner says, this is the vision, let's all follow it. And it's another when you have a conversation, well, where do you think we should go? Yes, the leadership team has an idea, because that's, who's spearheading the operation at the end of the day and where the buck stops. But I think it is a collaborative effort, providing, of course, that everyone in the organization has an alignment on core values, because the commitment to excellence is a value and part of the vision, and making sure that we are setting industry standards in our work and the ROI that we deliver, right, to the clients. But if the team does not believe in that, then the vision won't really align either. So they do go hand in hand, I believe, the vision and the values.
Now, Anna talked about, creating a vision for the company. And a lot of times CEOs will create the vision. I actually look at this differently. I like for the CEO to engage experts around the organization. It could be the executive team, that we could go a little bit beyond the executive team. Either way, they're engaging people into the crafting process of what that vision looks like over a 3-year period. And the reason why, if you engage more people, is because those that participate in the process will take more ownership in the execution and the challenges that arise as we work through the process of getting that vision realized. And so you want as much ownership as possible. And one way to do that is get people to participate. It's called inclusion. And I've seen this happen over and over and over. It really does amplify the success of these things, and people are more bought in and committed. And those are the things you want, right? Just thought I'd share my 2 cents and experience from my decade of executive coaching. Back to Anna. I agree. I've been writing my book, and not that I'm going to talk about the way I look at it. So I'm going to ask you about the way you look at values. This is a short question. I know it's hard to get it down to the right number of values, but what number did you decide to use?
The number of values that we have?
Yes.
Right now? Right now we have 6 values. And down from 8, which is where we started.
Okay.
And I am debating about taking it to 5, but it's really hard. It's been very hard for me to eliminating values. So we're landed on 6, and that's where they live today. We may reprioritize or decide that one really fits nicely within the other. But right now they are very clear 6 values.
And there's many different ways you can use values. You mentioned a few of them earlier, and you actually talked about vendors and clients being in alignment with those values. I agree with you 100% on these. What is your favorite way to make sure that you and the organization is living the values that you've set forth?
So Monday meetings, every Monday morning, we have our company-wide meeting, right, where we get the pulse on everyone coming into the week, and obviously discuss client priorities, discuss any needs and leads. But we normally start that with a 1-word open. Once a month, we start that with a great gratitude exercise, just to see where everyone's at. But our second thing on the agenda is core value shout outs. And this is where we go through and highlight the employees that have exemplified core values over the last week. So whether it's radical ideas, we say, hey, core value shout out to, let's say, Janine for coming up with that great campaign for client X and executing it and getting these amazing results. Or let's say one of our values is as simple as authenticity, having a transparent conversation and giving direct feedback to one of the employees to make sure that they're optimizing what they're doing. So we go through that exercise first as a way to kick off the meeting. And I think that's really powerful, because it helps people stay on top of what our values are and really live them and recognize each other, and also remind them that these are not just numbers we put on a board and never look at. A lot of organizations will make this huge wall of values, and it's fantastic, but if you're not actually living them every day, people forget. And so we use that as a reminder. And then we also do core value awards. So when we do our State of the Union, in addition to, it's really just taking that core value shout out to the next level of saying, hey, you've really exemplified this for the last 3 months or 6 months, and here's an award that shows that. And we do this fun little ceremony. It's cute and fun, and everybody has a good time.
I'm going to ask a follow-up question this, because I'm fascinated by that. And you haven't shared anything that's completely different, but I am curious how you select that. Is it peer selected, or is it selected by the executive team, or are you selecting it personally for these core value awards?
For the awards, it is peer selected. So we send a survey. We say, as a reminder, these are our 6 awards. Who would you like to nominate? Who on the team has exemplified these values? And then sometimes it's a tie. And then we, if everyone filled out the survey, then it's a tie. And if there's a couple of people that haven't maybe filled out a couple questions, then we go back and the team says, hey, we need a tiebreaker. Do you have someone you want to put up for this award? And then they do.
Perfect. I love both of those things. And, I don't know, is this a monetary award or is it more of kind of a,
It can be. Yeah. So there have been years where it's been monetary. There have been years where it's a nice little plaque and all these things. So it changes as the company grows. But I think there's usually been a couple of $100 or a restaurant certificate or something that definitely reinforces that. Usually we do that at the State of the Union. We'll save that when we do our annual retreat, which is in person. We can fly everyone out to California, and we have this couple of day event. And usually when it's in person, we do a little bit more grandiose.
Now, Anna's been talking about values, and I'm just going to reiterate just a couple of key things. You want to make sure your values are truly something you can live. It is not just about having them on the wall. As she said, it is truly about operating day in and day out. So you want to make sure the first thing is lead by example. You and your leadership team are embodying each one of the values, and they are really great. And this is one reason why you want real values versus aspirational, because you can't embody aspirational values until you reach it. Real values, you can. You can do it day in and day out. And so lead by example is the first part. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is just, you've got to look for opportunities inside of your organization to remind everyone of the values, whether it be the shout outs that she mentioned, whether it be awards, whether it be the hiring process and onboarding process, the exiting process, decision-making, one-on-one conversations. All of these are great places for you to use the values. Anytime an employee is out of alignment, I bet you can point back to a value that is either not being met or they're just completely not living by that value. And you can have a conversation about it, which is very different than you broke this thing or you didn't do X. And it's really a powerful way to be a leader using values as a kind of guidepost within the culture of the company. Just my 2 cents on values and how important they are, how to use them to create alignment. Back to Anna. Perfect. I believe in values so much. I told you I was writing my book today, and actually that was the chapter on how do you craft your values. I will probably send it to you and get your feedback.
Great. I'd love
if I
to
missed
see
something. It's in rough shape right now. It's just a draft, if that's okay. But I'll send it to you because it's a short read, and I think you'll appreciate it.
I love it. Thank you.
And I want to kind of go a little bit deeper into this whole thing. We've been talking about keeping alignment with mission, vision, and values. You talked about, the why of the business. You also talk about goals. Is there anything you do specifically around the goals, like at an individual level, that keeps people aligned together?
Well, I think leveraging the EOS model is pretty straightforward, right? Because once you get through the goals, then everybody knows what they're accountable for. We've used what's called the RACI model. Who's responsible, who's accountable, who's consulted, who's informed. When a person is not sure what their role is in any sort of task or goal-oriented project. So that's something that we've used just kind of informally here and there where needed. I think for me personally, I'm very much what gets measured gets done. And if you don't write down your goal, then it's merely a dream, right? So I personally write down my goals. I'd love to say daily, but almost daily. There are days that I don't get to it, but I write them out. I rewrite them in the morning, and then I look at them at night, and I see how far I've come to accomplish those goals and what I've done that day to get to those goals. So it's not just daily goals. It's more just like, here's my quarterly goal. What did I do today to get me closer? And sometimes I find that I did nothing today and I spend my time distracted doing something completely different that was not aligned with my goals. So it's a great way for me to course correct and say, okay, well, tomorrow I got to make progress here and then need to delegate something else to someone else because it's not my zone of genius or it's not part of my goal. I'm trying to solve somebody else's goal here. So we do talk about them weekly as a team as well. Just, what are you working on? How is progress being made? And then in our leadership meeting, which we have every Tuesday, we go through all of our goals for the quarter, and then we'll discuss if we're on track or off track. So every person does their own update. Are you on track to hit your goal? If yes, right on, keep going. We don't have to discuss it. If it's the second week in a row and you're off track, then we bring it down to the agenda and say, hey, let's IDS it, let's identify, discuss it, let's solve it. How can we help you make sure that that goal gets done? So it's a pretty process oriented, but it also gives a lot of freedom and flexibility because it's not like every day you have a goal and you have to accomplish all these things.
I don't know what your background is, but it seems to me you're a lot like an engineer, even though you're in the creative PR space, because the EOS frameworks. A lot of my clients use it, so I know it as well, even down to the IDS. I'm kind of curious on the technology platform that you use for this, or do you use like a Google Sheets, or are you using some kind of specific technology for your goals and tracking?
Yes. So we actually build some dashboards. Speaking of engineers, I have built some dashboards and scorecards internally. And we have, this year, we're actually leveraging an EOS integrator. So I've self-implemented over the last 3 years at the agency by, being part of different organizations and reading and things. And this year we hired an integrator. So we have meetings every other month where we help kind of bring all this to life and complete the EOS circle, because we've done, I'd say 70 to 80% on our own. But we do use obviously the regular office tools, but we've also built some dashboards, and I've used someone to on the back end to create some AI technology so that we don't have to manually input the data all the time.
You are into this. I am curious, Anna, we've been talking about the mission, vision, and values and goals to get your company continue to this alignment. Is there anything we missed in this conversation?
It's a great question. Let's see here. I'm certain I could talk about this for hours, and I'm sure there are little roads we could take and fully process. I think the only other thing I would note is just that self-assessment. I think a lot of companies and people, and for human nature, just go, and don't take the time to stop, assess, maybe go back a couple of steps, or change course where needed. So I really believe in feedback, asking people for feedback, and then self-performance review and review of what am I doing well, what am I not doing well. So oftentimes we'll do this stop, start, continue exercise, which is, okay, now that we've gotten here, what are the things we need to stop doing? Because this process that worked for 20 employees no longer works for 30, or this process that works for this type of client doesn't work for that type of client. Do we need to stop doing this? What do we need to start doing? Are there some new tools or softwares do we need to integrate? Even in the recruiting process, are there new things we need to be looking at because the labor market has shifted? And then what are the things that we need to continue doing? They're working well, and we don't want to just stop things for fun of it, but what do we need to continue doing? So that's an exercise I like to do as a team once a year, but I also do that internally probably every quarter. And I just think it's an important one for me to do. What do I need to stop doing, start doing, and continue doing so that I could use the best, of what I have to offer to this company, and empower my leaders to do some of the other things that they could likely do better than I can.
I'm going to wrap this up. For creative, you use and leverage frameworks like no one I've ever seen. It's natural for me as an engineer, but when I think of someone, and maybe you don't define yourself as a creative, but I think most PR people have this creative energy about them. But you have able to harness the power of these frameworks across these different systems. So thanks for sharing your perspective, Anna, and really talking to us about how you've created the growth that you have.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being on the podcast, and great to chat about some of my favorite topics.
Wow, what a great interview. I really love her clarity of how she's using these tools inside the company. It allows her to not have to think about, the different pieces behind it. She's using them very powerfully. And I, really want to congratulate her for that. Now, if you feel like you're not sure where to turn, maybe there's a lot of things you heard today, or, there's a lot of things missing inside your company, let's have a quick call. Let's get to know each other. I'd love to identify that very next thing for you. I may identify one of these tools that she mentioned is the right framework for you, or maybe there's something different based on your company, your growth, your trajectory, where you're going. I've just got my finger on the pulse of these things. And if you're curious, let's have that conversation. Just go to genehammett.com and schedule a call. When you think of leadership and you think of growth, think of Grow Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.